What's good, Fight family? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be breaking down... Fuck, dude, I just fucking remembered what I'm going to be breaking down. UFC Fight Night, Jandiroba versus Lemos. Horrible card. This is the worst card of the year so far. I don't care what anybody says. It might end up being fun because these really lame Fight Night cards honestly tend to be pretty fun, especially the prelims. But let's be real, like... Fight name wise, like stars, there's no stars on this card. The main event is a horrible main event. Potentially it might not even be a good fight. You know what, let me just stop hating though. I'm being so negative. Let's just try to be positive. One positive thing from last week's card, we went 10-2, fixed my record a lot for the year, finally broke my main event losing streak, so now I'm not chill sunning anymore. You can finally maybe trust my main event picks. Hopefully we can get that shit back to even and above it, because this is the worst I've ever done on main events, ever. But when it comes to actual cards, I'm not doing too bad. So let's get right into the first fight of the night. Muhammad Usman taking on Thomas Peterson. Classic striker versus grappler matchup. Thomas Peterson, much better on the feet. Mo Usman, much better on the ground. If Mo Usman gets Thomas Peterson to the ground, it's going to be a long night for Thomas Peterson. If Thomas Peterson can defend the takedowns, especially in the first round, it's going to be a long night for Mo Usman, or maybe a short one. You know, they are heavyweights. The thing that I feel like is actually the defining factor here, though, surprisingly, is that the wrestler Mo Usman has the knockout power. He definitely hits harder than Thomas Peterson. If somebody's going like out in one shot, it's probably Thomas Peterson. I think I will be hedging Mo Usman just because he has that X factor. His grappling isn't bad either. You know, he's getting better as he keeps fighting. He's honestly had a decent UFC career thus far with the fights he's been given. I feel like he can get this one done. I'm going to be taking Mo Usman by a decision. You know, I don't really think he has much finishing potential even with that knockout power. So yeah, we're going to go by decision. Then we move on up the card. Luana Carolina taking on Lucy Pudilova. This is a pick'em, and I will say for this whole card, all of the odds are like pretty close. They're like all damn near pick'ems. I'm going to be siding with Luana Carolina here. Lucy Pudilova, if I'm not mistaken, she's coming off of a loss. Right, she's coming off of a loss. Yeah, 9 losses in her career too. Yeah, no, horrible. And she has less reach. Yeah, no, okay. I'm siding with Luana Carolina getting this one done by a decision. I do think there's going to be a lot of grappling in this fight. I think Lucy Pudilova might even take a round, but I think Luana Carolina will do just enough on the feet to edge it out with the judges. So yeah, we're going to be siding with Luana Carolina by a decision. Then we move on up the card. Loic Radzhabov taking on Trey Ogden, another pick'em. I don't really understand why this one's a pick'em. You know, Trey Ogden just beat Kurt Holobaugh. That's not a good win, and he didn't even look good doing it. Loic Radzhabov, despite his ups and downs, he is not that bad, you know? It's just that he happens to be in the lightweight division, which is crazy stacked, and I don't think he can really swim at the top in the deep waters. But where it's shallow, I think that he shines, and I do think Loic Radzhabov will be able to probably get a TKO finish on Trey Ogden. I just feel like I've seen quit from Trey, and honestly, that fight with Kurt Holobaugh made me feel like you can never trust him in a real fight against somebody that's low-key a contender. Although I don't think Loic is necessarily. He's a lot closer to one than Kurt Holobaugh. So I'm going to be siding with Loic Radzhabov getting this one done by a TKO. Moving on up the card. Miranda Maverick taking on Deone Barbosa. And this one we finally have one where the odds are pretty heavily in favor of Miranda Maverick. She's a 2-1 favorite. Deone Barbosa at plus 180 right now. I low-key want to call the underdog here in Deone Barbosa, but Miranda Maverick has shown that she is a tough woman. She has some testosterone. She has to, and you guys already know how I feel about that. That goes a long way in women's MMA. I think I will side with Miranda Maverick getting this one done, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize, and I wouldn't be surprised if the live odds flip like that after like 2.5 minutes in the first round. But I will side with Miranda Maverick getting this one done by decision in a gritty fight. Let's call it a split decision. Fuck it. Let's have some fun here. Moving on up the card. I think this is the last fight on the prelims. And if so, wow. What a great card. Brian Kelleher taking on Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson's a 2-1 favorite. I don't know if he should be that big of a favorite. But I will say Brian Kelleher has been getting smoked in the first round a lot. And that's probably a tell that he's on his way out of here. Plus, he's old. And when you're old at bantamweight, it just doesn't work the same, man. You gotta be younger. Cody Gibson is also old, and you know what? Let me just double check. Might be older. Where is his age? I don't see his age anywhere here in the UFC's $5 billion company website, but yeah, he is so much taller than Brian Keller. Brian Keller has 15 losses. Man, I'm taking Cody Gibson. I think he can grab his fucking bald head and knee him straight down the middle, honestly. So I'm going with Cody Gibson by knockout. Then we move on up the cards. I think this is the main card now, which is just foul. Jung Young Lee taking on Haider Emil. Haider Emil is an underdog at plus 160. I understand. I mean, both these guys are solid prospects. The reason I think I'm going to be hedging my first underdog on this card is because Haider Emil's gas tank is ridiculous. And his grappling pace, like the pace is what makes the gas tank more impressive, because he's not just like cruising like some fighters do that'll like press grappling the whole fight, but they're using a lot of like positions to regain energy or just like kind of stall out. No, Haider Emil will scramble, he'll spam chase takedowns, he stays on you. I can see him getting elbowed pretty hard or just like hit while he's holding onto a leg. I could definitely see him getting smoked on the feet at range, or just like kind of getting poked and his face getting beat up, and he's still in the fight, not like at risk of getting TKO'd, but he's just a step behind the whole time. I could see that happening, but I think I'm going to side with the scenario where he does find his grappling and it's a little bit too much for Jung Young Lee, and I think that Haider Emil could maybe chase the submission. So I'm going to side with Haider Emil getting this one done. I don't know if I would bet a submission just because he's already plus money, but if you want to take a risk, bet Haider Emil by submission. That might be like a solid plus 600. Then we move on up the card. Doo Ho Choi, the return of the Superboy, taking on Bill Algeo. I believe Doo Ho Choi is returning from his 2 years mandatory military, whatever that shit is, in South Korea, where you just have to be a part of the military for 2 years. I think he's now returning from that, and that shit really does seem to halt these Korean fighters' MMA careers. He's coming on, he's taking Bill Algeo, who just already is a tricky fighter. I think Doo Ho Choi, even in his prime, in the heat of his career, would have trouble with Bill Algeo. He's just rangy, throws from all different types of angles. He has good grappling, amazing gas tank. He can take a shot. I think I am going to be siding with Bill Algeo, getting this one done. And he's honestly not even too bad of a favorite on the money line. Minus 170. I like those odds. I think Bill Algeo could find a knockout. But hey, you never know. The Korean Superboy can have a hell of a chin and hell of knockout power when he chooses to. It just seems to be a little inconsistent. But he always puts on fun fights. So I expect this one to be one of the good ones on the card. And then we move on. Cody Durden taking on Bruno Silva. Another pick'em. I'm going to be siding with Cody Durden. I just think he's a little bit more mean than Bruno Silva. I think he's going to be pushing the pace. I don't think Bruno Silva is going to be able to handle the grappling. Now, I could see Bruno Silva landing an uppercut when Cody comes in and maybe popping a hook over his guard after Cody gets hit by the uppercut and rocked. I don't know. I just have a vision that happens. But Cody Durden is honestly a decent prospect outside of the top 10. And I do think that in this gatekeeping position, he's probably going to keep the gate closed. So I'm going to side with Cody Durden getting this one done. Let's call it by a decision. Hella grappling. And then we move on up the card. Kurt Holobaugh taking on Kainan Krzyzewski. I'm going to side with Kainan Krzyzewski getting this one done. Kurt Holobaugh, I trusted you to beat Trey Ogden, and you made me never want to pick you again. Kurt Holobaugh is a plus 110, so these odds are really close as well. And Kainan has only fought once in the UFC, getting, flatlined by Elvis Brenner in a round. But I do think that this is just a way different stylistic matchup, and Kainan does have a solid record outside of that one loss. He was smoking a lot of people in the regional circuit. Maybe he can do it again to this old Kurt Holobaugh. You never know. I could see this being a difficult fight for him, honestly. I could see Kurt being a gritty veteran, but I'm going to side with Kainan getting this one done, probably by knockout. Then we move on to the co-main event. Sorry-ass co-main event. Steve Garcia taking on Sungwoo Choi. I do fuck with Steve Garcia. I've picked against him so many times on this channel, and he just continuously proved me wrong. And now the odds makers even are realizing their faults. They have Steve Garcia at a minus 150, Sungwoo Choi at plus 125. So here's my problem with this fight. Sungwoo Choi on the feet, I can see him absolutely starching Steve Garcia. I think the first 2 minutes of this fight are going to be what determines how the outcome goes, because if Sungwoo Choi is blitzing Steve Garcia early in the first round, I could see him getting him out of there. If Steve Garcia can eat those shots and survive and then take Sungwoo Choi to deep waters, it's a Steve Garcia win all day, and probably a late second round finish just waiting to happen, or like one of those scenarios where he's beating the fuck out of him at the end of the first round, just dominating, and then the second round kind of just continues right where the first round left off. I could see that happening big time. I will be siding with Steve Garcia. Don't let me down the one time I pick you, bro, because that'll just be absolutely fucking blasphemous. Absolutely. And then we move on to the main event of the night. Amanda Lemos taking on Verna Jandiroba. Jandiroba, whatever her name is. Look, Amanda Lemos at plus money is wild to me, even if it's that close. Plus 115 for her with the knockout power and honestly pretty good grappling, both offensively and defensively. I don't know, that's just a little bit wild to me. She's had her faults here and there. Zhang Weili honestly made it look like she belonged in like a whole different sport. But that's the GOAT of this division we're talking about. And Amanda Lemos still had moments later in the fight, I believe in like the 4th round, where it kind of seemed like she might be able to, chase a finish or make something happen. She goes for wild things, even in the grappling. I could see her latching up something on Virna if Virna's not safe. I do think Virna's going to be smart. She knows this is her chance to really break into the top 3 and maybe potentially put herself in title contention, which is crazy to be saying out loud. Jandiroba for fucking a title fight. What? But, her grappling's not bad. She does have a lot of grit and heart. You got to give respect where respect's due. But at the same time, I just feel like that knockout power from Amanda Lemos and her ferocity is what is going to be the difference in this fight. I'm going to be siding with Amanda Lemos, getting this one done. Man, I want to say by a decision, but it's hard to trust her going 5 rounds against a grappler like that. So I guess I'm going to hedge. She finds a finish at some point. I don't know if I would bet on it specifically, like being a knockout or a sub. I would probably just bet her to win inside the distance. It seems safe. I might be coming back to this with another loss on my main event record, bro. Who knows? But that's going to be all for me today, guys. Let me know who you got down below. What do you think of this absolutely treacherous card? And come through to the channel tomorrow because me and Paradox MMA, we're going to be streaming this dog shit card. Try to make it a little bit more fun. Probably bet on every fight. So come through if you're going to be watching that card as well. I'll catch y'all.